All right. Good morning, YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope all of you are happy, healthy, and well. I am going to start a new series, I think. So I don't think I'm going to even go by HTJ unless I just what I usually do. But I think it's time for me to give more of my opinions on things and reactions. So this morning, uh, watching Jesse on fire. And before I before I really get into this, I am subscribed to Jesse's channel. I do think some of his takes are way out there, but you know what? Good on him. Good on anybody out here doing a YouTube thing, finding success. But at this point, I'm a subscriber because it is entertaining. I mean, I just find some of the things that Jesse says to be very dumb. So that's what this is going to be about. It's going to be a reaction video. Um, and I'm really not going to focus on Jesse, but more or less the whole Nate Diaz UFC thing and a little bit of Jesse. Also, be forewarned because my next endeavor in this series will be Officer Tatum. Officer Tatum, I'm coming after you, homie. I ain't forgot. I ain't forgot all that shit you was talking. I ain't forgot all that condemnation that you were throwing out to everybody in the interwebs for possibly questioning some things that obviously don't pass the smell test. So let's move away from there. Let's talk about Nate Diaz in the UFC. So obviously, we're all aware of the Nate Diaz situation, mostly. Um, those of us that are MMA fans, I should say. And it's absolutely ridiculous. The UFC should just go ahead and release Nate Diaz. They should have released Nick Diaz a long time ago. So let's actually go back and start there with Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz gets suspended by the Nevada Athletic State Commission for having marijuana in his system for a period of 5 years. At any point in that system, that whole dog and pony show, that whole little show trial that they had with NSAC, at any time, Dana White and the UFC could have come to them and said, hey, listen, make this go away. We don't care. We need Nate Diaz. He is a superstar. But they didn't. Did you see, excuse me, I might have said Nate Diaz. They should have let Nick Diaz go during that whole suspension. Did they do that? Did you see Nick Diaz fight in the UFC during that 5-year suspension? No, you didn't. Did you see Nick Diaz fight anywhere outside of the UFC during that 5-year suspension? No, you didn't. Have you ever seen Nick Diaz fight anywhere else other than the UFC besides being back in the ring against, of course, Robbie Lawler, looking full dad bod like he hasn't been training, like he didn't really want to be there? Nick and Nate Diaz do not want to be employed with the UFC. They are not the smartest people in the world, but they do understand there is so much more money for those two to be made. They have been making money outside the UFC for years upon years through marijuana now, and they understand they need to get away from the UFC. Let's hop back to Nate. Nate has been trying to get released from the UFC for over a year, probably longer than that. Here's a question for you. Do you know how many retired UFC fighters are still under contract with the UFC? It's a whole lot. You want a couple names? I'll give you some. Daniel Cormier, still under contract with the UFC. GSP, still under contract with the UFC. Habib Nurmagomedov, however you pronounce it, no disrespect intended, still under contract with the UFC. Let me think of some other ones. What was her name that was armbarring everybody? What's the blonde's name that was armbarred? I can't. Ronda Rousey, still under contract with the UFC. Now, what exactly does that mean? How about Nate Corey? You guys remember a dude named Nate Corey? That's a long time ago. He is still under contract with the UFC. How's about Randy Couture? Does Randy Couture fight anyone? Nope. I'm not sure if he's still under contract with the UFC, but I'm pretty sure he is. That's why we never saw him fight anywhere else. So, what does this mean? If any one of those fighters ever decide to come back and say, I don't know, fight in a boxing match or fight in an MMA match against, in another organization, fight in K1, fight in Glory, which is K1, they're not allowed to do that contractually. They will never do that because the UFC won't allow it. So the UFC has been doing this for a long time, man. And we can talk about Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou fought out his last fight, okay, on his contract with a torn ACL, won that fight. I guess, unfortunately for him, he won. He is still the title holder. So, in the contract, UFC contract, he cannot just walk away as the title holder. Baked into the contract, it says the UFC has 365 days to try to put together a fight for him before he can leave. Francis is gone, man. Whoever out here thinks Francis Ngannou is going to fight for the UFC, you're fooling yourself. Hey, can we remember a few months ago when I told you that Elon Musk would never buy Twitter? Yeah. So look, I'm not always right, but my predictions sometimes they hold true. So, especially when I'm talking about this UFC stuff, man, it's just so glaringly and painfully obvious. And then I catch Jesse on fire this morning talking about the contract disputes with the UFC and Nate Diaz. This guy has no idea what he's talking about. And I'll give it to Jesse. He's, I guess, an insider, more of an insider. He's at the UFC events. He knows UFC fighters. He trains, in some gyms, and he's been around these guys. He's much more of an insider with me. But hey, I've been to Randy Couture's gym. I've met some of these fighters. Well, probably not current fighters. I guess I met Stephen Bonner, Jenny Browning. Anyway, this was a long time ago. Of course, Randy Couture. But it was something else. Anyway, so yeah, I guess I'm an insider too. I watch all the pay-per-views. Anyway, yeah. So the UFC contract thing, man, is laughable. The UFC only cares about money. That's it. This is where Jesse is wrong, and this is why I want to get at Jesse this morning, which I know he'll never see it. He doesn't care. He shouldn't. I'm a peon. I'm the peanut gallery. He should not listen to anything I say. But it makes me feel better to say this aloud to the YouTubeverse. Jesse on Fire got it all wrong. The UFC, at the end of the day, is about making money. So if Nate Diaz can go fight Jake Paul and make millions of dollars, but the UFC can't, why would they let him do that? You guys remember Fedor Emelianenko? In my opinion, he is the GOAT, regardless of weight class. Fedor Emelianenko was the biggest star in mixed martial arts for almost a decade, and he never made it to the UFC because he wanted to cross promote with his company, M1 Global. They wouldn't do that. So Fedor never came. Big deal. The UFC is so greedy, it's not even funny. Dana White can go out here and give $250,000 to some, I don't know, what is he, a YouTube influencer? Who are the Nelk boys? I'm not even sure I know who the Nelk boys are. But he can go out and give this kid $250,000 for his birthday. Saw that video on some, I don't know, MMA Focus or whatever it was on. Are you kidding me, dude? This guy from the Nelk Boys, like he's probably super successful anyway. I don't know how much money he's got, how much money he's worth. But you can give just some young guy 250 grand for his birthday, but you can't pay your fighters. I don't really care for what's his name, Luke Rockhold, but he's got a great point. Luke Rockhold said in an interview a couple weeks ago that the UFC's been paying the same fighter bonus for like what, a decade, 15 years, maybe 2 decades. They've been paying this $50,000 fighter bonus. I mean, maybe that should go up a little bit. I don't know. The UFC will let a person like Conor McGregor do whatever they do because he's the biggest draw that I think that the company's ever had. I don't think there's been a bigger draw for the company than Conor McGregor. That's just what it is. Uh, I don't even think GSP was not a bigger draw. John Jones is a fairly large draw for them. That's pretty big. But no, so I don't know why that some people think the UFC is virtuous or good because it's not. The UFC has been mistreating fighters for 20 years. I've been on and on about this. Again, I, I don't want to go through Jesse's whole video, but it just doesn't make sense. He wants to talk about how smart Nate Diaz are. Let's be honest, y'all. Nate Diaz is not the sharpest tool in the shed, and neither is his brother. That's plain and simple. You can see that. However, Nick Diaz knows what he's worth. I'm sorry, I keep mixing up the brothers. Nate Diaz knows what he's worth, man. Nick Diaz knows what he's worth. I believe they both have one fight left on their contract. So if the UFC cared at all about their fighters, their well-being, physical or mental, um, if I could go on and on, they would release this. Do you realize that the Diaz brothers are two of the biggest stars that mixed martial arts has ever seen, ever had? I mean, I was saying a decade ago that you got to pay these boys right before Nick got spun. Like, you give him what he wants. You remember when Nick, right before he fought GSP, I think the first time or whatever, or okay, so I can't remember if that fight stalled, was canceled, and then ended up happening, or was this happening? But Nick Diaz didn't show up to a press conference. They literally took that fight away from him. That's what happened. Yeah. They took that fight away from him because he didn't show up to a press conference. Yeah. Anyway, Jesse on fire. I love your passion, man. You're absolutely wrong about the UFC and Nate Diaz and contracts. Yeah, you also said that if Jake Paul gets starched this weekend fighting Rossman or whoever he's fighting, there's no fight for Nate Diaz and him. Absolutely incorrect. Doesn't matter what happens with Jake Paul this weekend. That fight will always sell. And I know Jake Paul doesn't sell a lot of pay-per-views, but that's because he hasn't had a Nate Diaz on the other side of the ring. You say what you want about T Wood, and I like T Wood, but he's not Nate Diaz. He does not carry that star power. It's going to sell some pay-per-views. So anyhow, mainly it's just the UFC, man. The UFC is terrible. And all these people around here thinking that I don't know what they think. Jesse on Fire is one of them. Like these people are just greedy. They don't. I don't know that they don't care about the sport anymore. They damn sure don't care about the fighters, y'all. So I don't know. For every example you can give me of them helping a fighter or helping somebody out, whatever. I can give you 10 examples of them screwing over a fighter. GSP has been wanting to fight for a long time. They just wouldn't let him do it. They wouldn't let him do anything. So he finally had to come back and fight Bisbing, and that was kind of a show in itself, wasn't it? That was a great fight, actually. But yeah, he vacated that belt as soon as he won, and that really pissed off the UFC. Good on him. Okay, that's about it. I don't want to harp too much on Jesse, so I didn't bring too much of Jesse into this, but Jesse, you got this wrong, dude. Now, the next one of these videos I do is not going to be titled with HTJ. We're just going to call it Joe Woody. And yeah, we're going to start, I'm going to start calling out the things that I see that I deem incorrect. And here's one thing I'll say about that. My viewers, the viewers in this community, my friends, constantly correct me. Even in these videos, I say something dumb. They correct me in the comment section. And it's okay. I don't mind. I'm not angry. It's fine. I appreciate it. So, by nature, when I see things or hear things that don't sound right to me, I generally tend to shed a light on that or whatever. I've never done that really. I haven't done it that much in this community, but I'm going to start to under my name, Joe Woody. And Officer Tatum, you're next, homie. Tatum, I'm coming. I know you don't know, you don't care, but I do. Somebody got to call you out for your blasphemy, for your bullshit. I mean, it's right out here on YouTube land for everybody to see. So, yeah, that's the next one. Also, Panasonic UB 820 coming in today. Very excited. All right, anyway, if you guys have any questions or comments, good, bad, or indifferent, you can put them right down there below. They are greatly encouraged and greatly appreciated. Yeah, that's about it. We'll wrap a bow on this one. As always, thank you for listening. Be good. Be safe. Boom.